Chosen one, this message is not random. You didn't scroll into this by accident. Something unseen leaned into time and guided your steps here. There is a reason your heart feels alert right now, like a quiet alarm going off in your spirit. Heaven knows your name. Heaven has been watching the pressure you never explained, the questions you carried in silence, the weight you learned to smile through. You've survived things that should have broken you, not by luck, but by assignment. And even now, as light brushes against old shadows, something within you recognizes this moment. This isn't curiosity. This is recognition. And chosen one, before we go deeper, pause for a moment. Hit subscribe and comment Amen if your spirit is already responding. Because this message is about to speak directly to you. This isn't a distraction, it's alignment. A small act of agreement that says, I'm listening, I'm ready, I receive. Chosen one, there were seasons when nothing made sense, when doors slammed without explanation, when what you prayed for disappeared at the last second. You replayed conversations, choices, and crossroads, wondering where you went wrong, but you didn't. God was investigating what you couldn't see. While you were looking at the opportunity, He was looking at the outcome. While you were focused on the moment, He was guarding the future. What felt like delay was actually divine interruption. There were unseen battles around you, spiritual negotiations you were never meant to fight alone, things that looked good on the surface but carried destruction underneath. God stopped it before it reached your core, before it rewired your identity, before it altered your calling. That heartbreak, that closed door, that sudden ending, it was mercy disguised as loss. Chosen one, this is revelation. You were preserved on purpose. You weren't rejected. You were rescued. You weren't overlooked. You were shielded. And now at this exact moment, heaven is pulling back the curtain just enough for you to understand. Your survival was not accidental, and your future is still intact. Something powerful is about to be revealed, a truth that will reframe everything you thought you lost. Stay with me. The next part was hidden until now. Chosen one, there are moments in life that only make sense in hindsight. Moments when something you prayed for didn't work out. Moments when a door closed so abruptly it left you stunned, confused, even wounded. At the time, it felt like loss. It felt like disappointment. It felt personal. But now, take a breath and listen closely. What if that interruption wasn't punishment, but protection? God interrupted what would have ruined you. Not everything that looks like a blessing is safe. Not every open door is sent by God. Some opportunities glitter on the surface but carry consequences deep in their roots. Some relationships feel like destiny but slowly drain your identity. And some paths seem aligned with your desires, yet completely misaligned with your calling. God saw what you couldn't see. While you were focused on what it could give you, He was focused on what it would take from you. Have you ever wondered why something fell apart right when it seemed to be coming together? Why the timing felt cruel? Why you were so close, yet suddenly stopped? That wasn't random. That wasn't bad luck. That was divine interruption. God stepped between you and a future version of pain you were never meant to experience. Chosen one, the truth is this. What you wanted back then was not safe for who you are becoming. It would have delayed you, distorted you, or even destroyed parts of you that God carefully designed. And because He knows the end from the beginning, He intervened, quietly, firmly, lovingly, even when you didn't understand Him. Think about it. How many times have you looked back and realized, if that had worked out, I wouldn't be who I am today? How many times did the very thing you mourned turn out to be the thing that saved you? That's not coincidence. That's a Father protecting His chosen one from stepping into a storm unprepared. And yes, it hurt. Divine interruptions often do. They don't always feel holy in the moment. Sometimes they feel like rejection. Sometimes they feel like betrayal. Sometimes they leave you questioning your worth, your discernment, even your faith. But God was never rejecting you. He was rescuing you. Let me ask you something. What if the delay wasn't denial but redirection? What if the closed door was actually God saying, trust me, there's more ahead than what you're trying to hold on to? You weren't being punished, you were being preserved. Chosen one, God does not interrupt randomly, He interrupts strategically. When something threatens your future calling, your spiritual clarity, or your inner peace, He will step in, even if it means breaking your heart to protect your soul, because He values who you are becoming more than what you temporarily desire. So if you're still carrying confusion about a past ending, release it. If you're still questioning why God said no, let that question soften into trust. The interruption was evidence of care, evidence of foresight, evidence that heaven was involved in your story long before you realized it. And now as you listen to this, ask yourself gently, what did God save me from that I didn't see at the time? The answer might change everything. Chosen one, there are seasons in life where the pain feels louder than God's voice, where what you lose speaks more strongly than what you're being saved from. In those moments, it feels like something sacred has been taken from you, like you were stripped, set back, or overlooked. But listen carefully now, because this is where spiritual vision begins to sharpen. What felt like loss was actually divine protection. At the time, you experienced it as failure, as heartbreak, as embarrassment, as a door closing while others seemed to walk effortlessly through theirs. You asked yourself what you did wrong, where you misstepped, why God would allow something so painful to happen if He truly cared. But what you couldn't see then was the depth of what God was shielding you from. He wasn't just protecting your present, He was guarding your future self. Some losses are not punishments, they are preventions. God saw the fracture lines beneath the surface. He saw how that situation would slowly erode your peace, distort your self-worth, or compromise your spiritual clarity. He saw the long-term damage, the hidden cost, the emotional debt that would come due later. And because He loves you too deeply to let you learn everything the hard way, He intervened. Have you ever noticed how certain endings only reveal their mercy with time? How years later you can finally say, if that hadn't fallen apart, I would have been trapped. That's not growth alone. That's revelation. God allows you to grieve what you lost, but He also invites you to mature into understanding what you were spared from. Chosen one, divine protection rarely feels gentle in the moment. It often feels abrupt, confusing, even cruel. Protection doesn't always come wrapped in peace. It sometimes comes disguised as pain. And yet beneath the heartbreak, there was a hand holding you steady. Beneath the loss, there was a boundary being drawn. God was saying this far and no further. Ask yourself this: what if the thing you're still mourning would have cost you more than it gave you? What if staying would have slowly dimmed your light? What if that loss preserved your integrity, your calling, or even your life? These are not easy questions, but they are healing ones. Chosen one, God's protection is not always obvious, but it is always intentional. You were never abandoned in that moment. You were covered. You were redirected. You were spared a deeper wound you didn't have the strength to carry at the time. And now as you stand on the other side of that loss, you're not weaker. You're wiser, not broken, refined. So breathe. Release the shame you attached to that ending. Let peace replace the confusion. What felt like loss was heaven stepping in front of harm. And the same God who protected you then is still guarding your steps now, leading you forward with quiet precision into something safer, stronger, and more aligned than you ever imagined. Chosen one, pause for a moment and consider this. How often have you chased something because it looked promising, exciting, or aligned with your immediate desires, only to wonder later why it never fully materialized, why the timing seemed off, or why the doors that appeared open were suddenly closed? The truth is, you were never alone in evaluating your future. God saw the consequences you were blind to. While your eyes were drawn to the opportunity, His eyes were fixed on the outcome. What you saw as possibility, He saw as potential danger. What you imagined as blessing, He perceived as a trap that could have altered your destiny. It's easy to underestimate divine perspective. We see life in snapshots, in moments that feel urgent, and we assume that speed and proximity equate to blessing. But God operates on eternity's timeline. He weighs every ripple that might spread from a single choice. He considers not just what the opportunity offers today, but how it shapes the next 5, 10, even 20 years of your life. Every decision carries a cost, and God understood costs you couldn't calculate, consequences you couldn't foresee. That relationship, that job, that chance you thought you wanted so badly, He knew exactly what it would demand of you, and He chose to intervene. Have you ever looked back and realized that avoiding a path saved you from pain you never anticipated? That the no you received at the time was actually a divine yes to your future? That's God's wisdom in motion. He is not a distant observer. He is an active guardian, carefully orchestrating outcomes with precision and love. Now, He sees the chain reactions, the hidden storms, the emotional and spiritual debts that lie beneath the surface. And because He sees them, He protects you from making choices that would compromise your calling, your peace, or your identity. Think about this, chosen one. How often do we pursue what glitters while remaining blind to the shadows it casts? God's vision penetrates those shadows. He walks ahead of you into the unseen. He calculates the long-term cost of every decision, every association, every step you might take. And when the cost outweighs the benefit, He steps in, sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically, to redirect your course. What looks like delay, disappointment, or rejection is often His mercy in disguise. So ask yourself, what are the doors I thought I wanted but God kept closed? What paths seemed right but now reveal their hidden dangers in hindsight? What blessings were withheld so that I could be preserved from a future I wasn't yet prepared to navigate? These are not rhetorical questions. They are invitations to reflection, to alignment, to deeper trust in divine timing. Chosen one, God sees the whole story while you see only the page you're on. What may feel like confusion, rejection, or misfortune is actually protection. A loving hand guiding you away from outcomes that would have cost more than you could afford. He understands the long-term impact of every choice you make, and He refuses to let you stumble into unnecessary destruction. Remember, what He prevents today is not a punishment, it is a shield. What He redirects you from is not a denial, it is divine foresight. And as you learn to trust the unseen wisdom guiding your life, you will begin to recognize a pattern. Every closed door, every sudden pause, every detour has been a merciful act of preservation, a heavenly intervention designed to safeguard the integrity of your purpose and the fulfillment of your destiny. So breathe, reflect, and recognize this truth. God saw consequences you were blind to, and in that vision, in that awareness, you were never left to chance. You were preserved, protected, and positioned to walk into the life He has designed for you. A life that aligns with your calling, your peace, and your ultimate purpose. The interruption was never random. It was intentional, prophetic, and precise. Chosen one, have you ever felt the sting of a door closing and wondered why it hurt so deeply? Why it felt like the world was saying no when you were sure it should have said yes? Take a deep breath and listen closely, because this is where understanding meets revelation. Some doors close not to punish you, but because your destiny is bigger than the path in front of you. The opportunities that didn't unfold were never meant to contain you. They were never meant to define you. They were never meant to satisfy the calling that burns within your spirit. It's easy to mistake a closed door for rejection, but in reality, it's redirection. A gentle yet firm nudge from the Creator who knows the breadth of your purpose, the weight of your potential, and the depth of the plans He has for your life. Certain paths are too small for who you are becoming. They might seem appealing, safe, or comfortable, but they cannot hold the fullness of what you were designed to achieve. God doesn't just want to give you a life, He wants to give you a life aligned with your destiny, a life that stretches your faith, expands your vision, and fulfills the calling that only you can answer. Have you noticed how some opportunities feel right in the moment, yet leave you restless afterward? That restlessness is not your failure. It is God's whisper, a divine alarm signaling that there is something far greater ahead, something your eyes cannot yet see. Closed doors are not final endings. They are divine pauses, invitations to trust the unseen, to lean into a bigger picture, and to refuse settling for anything less than your assigned purpose. Every no you've received, every path that was blocked, every time you were overlooked or delayed, these were not accidents. They were deliberate acts of preservation, ensuring you do not dilute your potential by stepping into something that cannot contain it. Think about this. What if the life you thought you were losing was actually too small for the calling on your life? What if the relationships, the jobs, the opportunities you grieved over were never equipped to carry you to the heights God is preparing for you? Chosen one, your destiny is not something that can be rushed, forced, or compromised. It requires patience, alignment, and trust in divine timing. And closed doors are a crucial part of that process. They prevent you from settling for mediocrity, distraction, or paths that would derail your ultimate purpose. So ask yourself, where have I felt frustrated by endings, stopped by obstacles, or denied the things I thought I deserved? Could it be that each of these moments was a divine mechanism protecting the integrity of your calling? Could it be that the very things you mourned were never meant to last because they could not support the life you were created to live? When you begin to see your life through this lens, disappointment transforms into clarity and loss transforms into preparation. Chosen one, every closed door is a sign that your life is too big, too sacred, and too significant to be confined by anything less than what God has designed for you. They are reminders that you are being preserved for a destiny that stretches beyond your imagination, a destiny that requires courage, faith, and unwavering trust. Do not mourn what has been closed. Celebrate that you are being positioned for something far greater. The interruption was never a detour. It was divine calibration. The door wasn't shutting you out. It was opening a path to the life you were born to step into, fully aligned, fully protected, and fully prepared. Your destiny is bigger, chosen one. Never forget it. Never settle for less. And as you move forward, trust that every closed door has been a marker, a spiritual guidepost leading you to the exact place you were always meant to stand. Chosen one, have you ever wondered why some blessings take longer to arrive than you expected? Why the prayers you sent out early still feel unanswered? Why the doors you thought would open immediately remain closed? Take a moment and breathe in this truth. Delay is not denial. What feels like waiting, what feels like being overlooked, is often God's alignment. It is His way of preparing you so that when the blessing does arrive, it doesn't overwhelm you, mislead you, or harm you. Timing is not accidental. Timing is intentional. Timing is divine. You see, God's schedule is not our schedule. We see moments as urgent, as windows that must open now, but He sees eternity. He sees the unseen challenges, the internal shifts, the subtle growth that must occur before the next chapter can begin. Delay is not punishment, it is preparation. It is a sacred pause designed to sharpen your discernment, expand your patience, and refine your faith. Every waiting period, every not yet, every period of stillness is actually a classroom for your spirit, a place where you learn resilience, where your character is tested, and where your alignment with divine purpose deepens. Have you considered that perhaps the delay itself was a gift? That the lessons you are learning now, through reflection, waiting, or even through pain, are exactly what you need to carry the blessing safely and fully when it arrives? God is not just preparing the opportunity, He is preparing you. He is ensuring that the blessing does not overwhelm your heart, your mind, or your calling. Without preparation, blessings can become burdens, and gifts intended for fulfillment can turn into pitfalls. That is why timing matters so much in God's plan. Chosen one, think back on your life. How many times did you rush forward only to regret it later? How many times did impatience lead to choices that didn't honor your future self? Those moments were lessons in alignment, training you to recognize when God's timing is at work and to trust that a delay is never wasted. It is not denial, it is divine choreography. It is heaven arranging every element so that the moment of blessing is perfect, complete, and sustaining. Ask yourself this: what could I be learning in this season of waiting? How am I growing in ways I wouldn't notice if everything happened immediately? Could this delay be God's way of ensuring that the next chapter, the next door, The next relationship, the next opportunity will truly honor the life He is calling me to live. Reflection is key here, because understanding the purpose of delay transforms impatience into trust, anxiety into peace, and frustration into hope. Chosen one, the pause is sacred. The waiting room is holy. The season of not yet is where alignment takes root. Every delay you face is part of God's careful orchestration, a divine mechanism to ensure that when the blessing comes, it comes at the right moment, in the right way, for the right purpose. Nothing is lost in the waiting. Everything is being prepared, your heart, your vision, your spirit, and your life. So do not rush. Do not despair. Every moment you wait is a moment being used to align you with your destiny. Delay is not denial. It is divine calibration. It is God's way of saying, hold on, chosen one. I am making sure everything is ready. I am making sure you are ready. Your season is coming, and it will arrive perfectly because you have been shaped, prepared, and positioned to receive it in full. And as you feel the weight of waiting today, remember, God's timing is always perfect. Delay is never a dead end. It is a divine alignment, and your blessing, when it arrives, will be more powerful, more precise, and more life-changing than you ever imagined. Chosen one, there are moments in life that sting. Moments when someone says no. Moments when an opportunity slips through your fingers. Moments when doors close so sharply, so unexpectedly, that your heart can barely catch the weight of it. At those times, the natural reaction is to feel rejected, to feel overlooked, to believe somehow you were less than, not enough, or unwanted. But hear this carefully. You were not rejected. You were preserved. Rejection feels personal because our human hearts interpret loss through the lens of self-doubt. We equate closed doors with failure. We measure our worth by the opportunities we were denied. But preservation is purposeful. It is intentional. It is God stepping in quietly, unseen, to keep you intact, to protect your heart, your spirit, and your calling from harm that you could not yet withstand. What looked like denial at the time was actually mercy in disguise. It was divine foresight, shielding you from what would have fragmented your identity, disrupted your purpose, or delayed your destiny. Have you ever reflected on the moments when what you thought was the end of the road turned out to be a hidden blessing? When the thing you wanted the most slipped away, only to reveal itself later that it was never meant for you at that time? That is preservation at work. God is not punishing you. God is not overlooking you. God is protecting you. He is keeping your foundation solid so that when the right opportunity, the right person, the right season arrives, you are unbroken, unshaken, and ready to embrace it fully. Think about this, chosen one. How many of your past disappointments, when viewed in hindsight, were actually safeguards? How many situations, relationships, or choices could have altered your life in ways you weren't prepared to handle? Preservation often feels invisible. It often looks like rejection. But the truth is, your life is being guarded, piece by piece, until you are ready to step into the full measure of what God has prepared for you. Ask yourself, where have I felt denied or overlooked, only to realize later that those very experiences preserved me from a greater hurt? What doors closed that I now see were preventing me from stepping into my calling prematurely? What people, positions, or paths I longed for were actually ill-suited for the trajectory God intended for me? Reflection reveals that preservation is not passive. It is active, intentional, and deeply aligned with your spiritual destiny. Chosen one, preservation is a promise. It is God's way of saying, you will survive, you will thrive, you will not be broken by what the world tries to take from you. I am protecting you for the next chapter, for the moments that matter, for the calling that is uniquely yours. It is why the pain of rejection does not define you, why the closed doors do not diminish you, and why the loss you felt was never the end of your story. So breathe deeply and let this settle into your spirit. You are preserved, not rejected. You are protected, not abandoned. You are carefully, deliberately, and lovingly positioned for what comes next. The interruptions, the delays, the losses, they were never accidental. They were divine acts of preservation, ensuring that when your moment arrives, you are whole, aligned, and ready to receive what has always been waiting for you. Chosen one, understand this. Preservation is quiet, subtle, but powerful. It is God keeping you intact for what is greater, higher, and more significant than anything you've yet imagined. Rejection fades in the light of preservation. Closed doors become markers of protection, and your life, your calling, your future remains intact, perfectly shielded and divinely prepared.